Hello. Gonna do some ear training today. Okay, what one do I want to start with? 37 is still broken, but I have hopes for it getting fixed because Gordon Wary says that he's on the Facebook group with the guy who runs the thing. And I asked if he could ask him to fix it. So hopefully that will be getting fixed soon. Because 37 is really fun to do. I'll try 46. Okay, there we go. That was pretty accurate. My best try. This is in 17 tries. My best one had it in 15, and I think 15 is like reasonable. Oh, Inthar's been doing ear training. Yeah, it used to be fourth, but now it seems Inthar has taken that place. Only Tristan Bay has gotten 14. Maybe I should try to get 14. 13 is the lowest possible, but you'd have to get everything literally perfect. Ah, okay. I was gonna lean more neutral. I just didn't trust my gut. That's like more neutral, minorish. Okay. There we go. Another 17 tries. Okay. Try 17, score 17, rank 17. That's crazy. Need to screenshot that. Wow, exactly 1 minute. That's crazy. It'd be fun if I got that on 17 Edo. I'm gonna send this to you, variable. It's so cursed. I should angle this a bit more down, like that. Okay, I need to be better at differentiating. I can tell when it's off. Need to be better at telling which direction. I think I'm just kind of eager to go more flat for some reason. Really? Okay. Biggest flatter there. Try is 19. How is that worse? I guess I must have gotten a few that were like one off. Well, it's gonna be a shame if I like get an actual good run. I'm like in right now I'm in 6th place, right? Yeah. If I get an actual run, then I'll destroy the beauty of 17. It's actually really funny that all of this is 17. Besides the time, but that's the only way you can get exactly both this and this. Ah, come on. I felt more sub major. No, no, it didn't. Re-listening now in my head. Yeah, I can hear it. Mm-hmm. Don't need that. Okay. Ah. Oh wow. Okay. Good run. So this one was just like fast. Okay, the 17 is gonna be destroyed ruined, but I think importantly, okay, this is very close to my lowest time. So yeah, I got one fast run and one accurate run. Around the same score. Just need to try to break past that. Wait. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, I was just completely... Uh, what? What? Oh, first place! Oh my goodness! I'm the best! Wow! First place! Hi, Fitzgerald. Yeah, you joined at the perfect time. Boom! Wow! Let's go! Let me send this to Gordon. Oh, your variable reacted to my 17 message. Now I'm gonna send her the first place and say oops. That was crazy. Yeah, that was near perfect because 14 means you have to be near pretty dang close to perfect. Yes. I feel like your variable is just gonna instantly try to take it back though. Well, I hope it's straw next month. And the reason why I hope it's straw so much is not necessarily for the sake of straw, but of course it is for the sake of straw because it's an awesome scale and it's really accessible on the keyboard. But the real reason is because I also want to be able to nominate 35, and I'm going to do that after straw wins. 35 is such an awesome Edo. I hope they had 35. Because I want to be able to try to tell the difference between the 7 Edo and 5 Edo fifth. Because that's a dual fifth system where they really are more equal. That one was just speedy and good. I want to rewatch that. I'll probably make a clip of it after the stream. It was probably like 13 minutes in-ish, I think. 2 minutes ago. That feels right. Wow. Oh yeah, and I got third place on 72 last stream. I just can't stop being the GOAT. I still can't do the sequences. That's where I'm lacking, but maybe I should start trying to do that, like, I don't know. I just really struggle with those. Still 7th place in 22. I'm pretty happy with this. I could try to go for a sub 50, though. It is really hard because you basically have to get flawless. I guess the two people above me technically got worse tries. So maybe if I'm just like really speedy with it. I don't know. But yeah, I miss the 37 so much. I DM'd Gordon to follow up with him to see if he would actually uh, like ask the guy to add to fix the 37 Ito thing. There are a few Itos which I really think need to be added. 14 definitely needs to be added. I also would like to see 35. I think that's probably a good way to like test your skills with sharper and flatter fists. Also, it just has a very nice palette of intervals to ear train with. And then also, what else would I want to see? What is missing? What feels like it should be on here but isn't? I would like to see 80 Ito up here, because I would like a second big Ito to work with, because it feels like 72 is really the only of its type that you have the option for. And 80 seems like interesting enough to where I think it could possibly be good. What other ones are missing? I think those are the main ones that I can think of. It'd also be nice to see like 9 Ito or I wonder, it would be really funny to have like a 5 Ito thing. Uh Future implementations, it actually says, wait, where does it say? Add the following ear trainers 5 EDO. But this was last updated uh back in June of 2024. But it would be funny to see like a 5 EDO leaderboard. Like if each of these is 4 points, then I imagine that a 5 EDO one is going to be like a 5 Ito is going to be what if I get one off? Okay, you still get a point. I feel like 5 Ito is going to have to be balanced for like maybe just getting like 2 points if you get it right, or maybe it's 3. I don't know. It starts to like exponentially increase the number of tries you need the lower you go. I don't know. I think 14 is the main one that is really important and missing. Unless there's some other one I'm not considering. Because like let me just look at where the gaps are. So 12, then there's missing 13 and 14. 14 should be added. Then we have 15, 16, 17, missing 18, that's fine. 19, missing 21 and 20, that's fine. 22, missing 23, and then also missing 25 after quarter tens. Both of those are fine, I guess, to not have. Missing 28, which is fine. Missing 30, which is fine. Missing 32 and 33, which is fine. Missing 35, it would be nice to have 35. Then 38, 39, 40, those are all fine to not be there. 42 is fine to not be there. 44, 45 are also fine to not be there. 47 is fine to not be there. Maybe 50. 50 is another one which I could see being helpful. I don't know. I could see 50 being added. And then also it would be cool to see like 80. I don't know. I guess I should just. I might be stalling because I'm worried I'm not going to be able to do anything near what I just got on 46. Holy moly, first place. I went from sixth place to first place. Maybe I could try some more 72. I still haven't gotten a 9 try at 1, which I'm pretty sure is perfect. Or it would be. Let me think. Uh, you would need to get at least 8 perfect, and then you could have one that is exactly one step off, which is still crazy to get. So 9 would be incredibly hard. Or what? Yeah, 9 tries it would be. Oh, that was so wrong. I like wasn't listening at all. That's neutral. Oh, that was more of a sub 10. Oh, that felt like it had more wobble than it should have. Oh, oh yeah, I was completely wrong. Uh, okay, 13 tries. Definitely not noteworthy. Okay, I'm not gonna get a good run on. I was muted. I don't know how long I was muted for. Uh-oh. Uh, sorry. So this is the link. Hands eyes ears dot fun slash ears slash ear training. Yeah. Right now I'm trying for 16 because I think I could dethrone your variable here if I try hard enough. Why do I have 7 viewers? Okay, I need to go back to my time. 280 just feels like perfect because if I go any slower, I feel like my brain goes into panic mode and I start to rush. Okay, that was the decrease to maybe 6. Okay, I can't decrease it that way. Maybe 7 will be good. Okay. Well, that sounded way more off than that. I just want to get like a flawless run, and if I do it quick enough, I should be able to get first place on the leaderboard. So I'm gonna like reset whenever I make a mistake early on. If I make one later, it's fine because I can kind of recover from that. I just won't have the accuracy to help my score. Man, oh, what am I doing? I just lost like this was like a good run, and then I just like lost it entirely. All right, I need to lock in. I know I can at least get What's like a realistic? Okay, I could definitely at least get second place because I'm like at a very fast pace, and I've gotten 22, which means like you can have basically, I think, uh, like you get basically to get 22. I think 19 of them you get three of them that are one step off, and then the other 19 that are exactly dead on. So if I could just do like 20 dead on, then that's just an easy improvement, and that will kind of just reduce the score greatly. But like that's easier said than done. Oh, it's going the slower one. Hang on, let me set it back to 280. Oh, come on. How did I make that mistake? What in the world? I should have guessed 750. It's kind of weirder with whatchamacallit, with 16 because you have two fists that the two perfect fists that aren't great. One of them that's really not great and like barely even like a perfect fifth. I don't know. This definitely starts to feel more like a minor six. It's like right in the boundary between the two. And sometimes I mistake one from the for the other. I think that's the trickiest part. Which is weird because compositionally, when I'm like working within 16 EDO, I don't think of it as like having two fifths. I just mainly focus on the flat one. But then like ear training wise, it seems to kind of be this is the trickiest part. Also doing that sometimes. Uh, See, like right there, that one felt more off. So I'm like, oh, that can't be 675. It has to be 750. And then I was wrong because it was in fact this. And since usually with like 37, uh, uh, I have no clue what hydrogen. Here, I'll look up what that is. I would probably just have the apple because then I have like unlimited supply of apple. Without knowing what the chemical is. Uh, hydrogen benzoate. But like apples are very good. Of course, the tricky part would be having somewhere to store them. So it's some sort of acid. Okay, common use preservative in food products. So if it's a preservative, then I would honestly like both because then I could use the hydrogen benzoate to preserve the apples so they don't like mold. But if I had to pick one, I mean, I would probably just pick the apples. And plus, I could, like, give them to people. Even though it would be a lot. Like, how heavy is an apple? Okay, so it's like a third of a pound. So if we're doing the epic math here. Uh, calculator. So we take this and then divided by 3, and then that should give how many pounds. So this is going to be like 150 tons of apples. I mean, I feel like that would keep the doctors away forever, because I feel like that would definitely be enough uh, for an apple a day. You could probably have an apple an hour and not even run out. So I would probably take the apples. That's my assessment. I'm not doing well right now. Fifth place. Is that best? No. Currently in fourth. The Yo variable, are you lurking? Okay, I take it Yo variable is not watching the stream. She might be trying to reclaim her title. I think she's at the top of almost everything besides Carlos Alpha and Carlos Beta and Triple Bull and Pierce and Carlos Gamma. She at the top of everything else. I don't think she's at the top of 37. Not 36. Not 43, which is the tuning that she always blazes, but never actually runs, presumably. Which is funny. She's always talking about how good 43 is, and I don't really care for it. Romeo's is at the top of 72. Yo variable isn't even, like, anywhere in sight. Have you even done a single run on this? No, not a single run. I might be able... I would have to do one every 3 seconds, which is about the pace I was on for this run. but I would have to get it perfect instead, which is insane. Okay, that was 33 cents. See, like even with the unisons, like you have like two, three options even of like the things that sound like detuned unisons. It's just so many notes to where it's like nearly impossible to be like 100% accurate. The best I did was like 10 guesses, which is like one off of the best possible that you can do. Okay, that was 650. I could continue this. Or it was 650, not 750. It sounded like a very off fifth. Okay, I'm starting to not do well. 467 sounded like a third, not a fourth. It's weird because I think my perception is like a lot of the times I'll even hear something like this as more of like a third, even though this is a lot closer to like a perfect fourth than to any like third you would normally find, which kind of throws off and kind of sends me to guess like lower, like a normal super major third or even an ultra major third, even when it's like kind of this, which is more of like some sort of sub fourth thing. Um, yeah, okay. It's just hard to get the same level of accuracy. I'll do 31 for a bit. Uh, I haven't gotten anything better than my one that was record for a while. It has since been usurped, but being on top of the 31 leaderboard really felt great. At least even if it was only for a little bit. Uh, Now it sounds like way off to have it be. Let me put it back. Now 350 feels like very slow. I've gotten very used to 280. I think it helps me go faster as well. With with 16, I can like guess very quickly because there aren't that many options. But with like 31, if I want to be like guessing correctly, I can't be like being careless. Okay, I guessed the wrong semitone. Wrong fifth. Whoa, that was a bad mistake. That didn't need to happen. See, that was like the start of a good run, and then I kind of just threw at the very end. So, like, I can do pretty well on this, I just need to actually do it, which is the tricky part. With neutral. Should have guessed that correctly. What? Okay. Yeah, I didn't feel confident about that. Okay, horrible. I think because I'm just trying to get like a very good run on this, I end up like restarting over and over and over, and then that can like kind of just lead to me not getting anywhere for a while. Maybe I'll do like a no reset thing where I just go. I don't need to necessarily go fast. Anyways. Oh wow, that was a very wrong guess. Also distinguishing between these two, I think this is the hardest distinction to make. Probably, yeah, it's just with the sevenths that are especially hard. What was this? That was a neutral third. Maybe I should finish this before I talk. Yeah, I think the hardest one is distinguishing between the super major and the major seventh, and then also between the minor and the subminor seventh as well. Like I'm pretty good at distinguishing between like the major and the super major thirds and the sixths, but the sevenths really sound similar. Like, let me just get rid of everything besides those two. Let's see how I do. Whoops. Yeah, they sound very similar. Okay. I thought I was able to tell the difference there, but no. That was okay. I think I'm just guessing this one is in the higher register and then guessing this one it sounds lower. And I'm not actually like guessing it correctly. Like see, it sounds exactly the same. This is actually making me more wow, I'm worse at this than I thought I would be. Like, 'cause a lot of the time I am able to get it right, but I don't know. I might just be getting lucky with these two. Yeah, no, I literally can't tell the difference. Like with the major and super major thirds, for example, and like the major and super major sixth, it's easier for some reason. Okay, no. I struggle in the lower register with anything that's like kind of like smallish. This is super major. This is super major. This is super major. Oh, whoops. I guess the wrong type of interval. This is major. Super major. What was that? Okay, I was wrong on that, but I'm like pretty consistent with this. Okay, I was wrong on that. Literally, the trick is just if it sounds kind of worse, it's the super major one. Like the major one is very concordant. I wonder what interval it would be. Okay. How do I get back to the non-practice version? Oh, I just completely guessed incorrectly. Sometimes I'll like be doing very well and then just make like a stupid guess like that. I don't even know how I mistook that for that. I want to try descending and see how I do. Okay. I'm definitely not as good. And what I end up doing is just replaying it back in my head in reverse. Okay, completely wrong. I have no clue. Oh, completely wrong. I'll be descend guy. I want to see if I could actually like do the descending quickly. Yeah. The website is just maybe I should put the website in the description. Here I can actually do that real quick, and then I'll also link it in chat. Maybe I'll just pin the message. But I'll also link it. Your trainer, and then save. Okay, so it's in the description now. Yeah, I really like doing 31 tet or 31 Ito. Seems like there are a lot of new people today, which is interesting. I think sometimes Sometimes it's literally just a familiar crowd, and then other times it's like a lot of new people. I don't know if that's like a YouTube thing, if like YouTube thinks, oh yeah, this will be good for other things. Yeah, but it's nice. So, uh, yeah, I really like doing 31 because it kind of has most of the interval qualities that you'll run into in microtonality, those being like major, minor, neutral, super major, and subminor, those kind of five interval qualities, and it basically has all of the intervals of those qualities. So like major seventh, super major seventh, major six, subminor six, etc., etc. Neutral thirds, neutral seconds, neutral sixths. Uh, so you can kind of just use it as a general trainer. Uh, that you can expand because all of these like it's not like you only get good at like 22 or only get good at 31. Once you like start developing like ear training skills for like other tuning systems, it kind of a lot of it carries over because you're just like listening to the intervals, and a lot of tuning systems are going to share similar intervals. So I also like 22 because that one's very compact. It has kind of like subminor, minor, major, and super major thirds, but then it also has like neutral seconds, and kind of that's why I kind of like it as like a system to use. It's not like uh, it has a lot of intervals that I like, and it is just kind of like good and a lot smaller than something like 31, which could be intimidating at first. I mean, I would just if you don't do ear training at all, I would probably start out with just doing standard 12 tat tuning, but like my 12 tet used to be uh like very bad back before I got into microtonality. And then when I started doing like the ear trainer, the microtonal ear trainer, when I found that, I was like doing 22 and 31 and like 19 and those. And I didn't even like do practice any 12. And then when I come back to this now, it's like really easy. I kind of wish it wasn't in a circle, so it was like more compact and you could get to it faster. I bet I could do pretty well on the 15. Let me just, I could probably do this pretty quickly. Uh, if I'm able to do 16 pretty well, this one's just kind of like a brother of 16 in a way, and also a brother of 14. Even though I view like 16 and 14 as being very different, they kind of like each, I don't know. Da-da. Oh, I was completely wrong. What? Oh. Sometimes you just have a brain fart. Oh, that was completely wrong. Uh, okay, not very good. What's my current best? I'll just have this be a goofball run and then see. Okay, I'm like barely on there. This one's very competitive because Fitzgerald and Yo Variable are just like I think, fighting over this for a while because Fitzgerald is the 15 Edo Glazer, and then Yo Variable just wants to have a sweep on the leaderboards. So like the two forces are like duking it out. I think Yo Variable is like kind of the definitive force. She also has perfect pitch, which is kind of gives her a little bit of an advantage. I don't know. But she's also been doing music for a while, so like I don't know how instantaneous like perfect pitch is. Like compared to relative pitch, because I can do relative pitch very fast. I obviously don't have perfect pitch, uh, but yeah. Fitzgerald, what would you do if I dethroned you from second? Why can't I not get this on 280? Whatever, I'll just input it myself. 280. Okay, you can't input it yourself. You have to drag. Okay, close options. I don't know why I got that wrong. I should have gotten most of the stuff right here. Okay, very bad, but also pretty quick. Hmm. Yeah, maybe I should try doing it on mobile, because that's just touchscreen. You don't need any mouse movement. It would probably be slow on phone, but I do have like an iPad that I could do it on. I wouldn't be able to like stream that though. Uh, yeah, I wonder if I would be a lot more powerful with a tablet instead. I could like try it. We need to find that, and I don't know. Maybe I'll try that like tomorrow. I just want to get like a better run than what I had before. So I think I was like 18th. I didn't even mean to click that one. I don't know why I got that so wrong. What was that? Okay, this run is horrible. I don't even want to submit that. Hello? See, what is that lag? Sometimes I just get random lag spikes. Uh, okay, that's a minor third. I don't know why I had a brain fart. Okay, just go. Okay, 8th place. There's one without any mistakes. It's 43 seconds. I was a little slow with some of them. I need to get what? If I'm getting 20 tries, and that's gonna be if I need to get to like below 11. I think maybe like 36. Let me do a calculator. So 60 divided by 36, and then times 20 would result, and I did that wrong. Wait, what? Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry, 36 divided by 60, and then, oh, so this is actually just going to be 12. So I need to get like 35 seconds. 35 over 60 times 20 is 11.6, which would do the trick. So I need to get like 35 seconds. Because I do have like some accuracy. I know Yo variable and you were talking about how the two tritones are the hardest, but honestly, with 15 Ito, I don't find them that hard because I hear this is more of a super fourth and this is more of a sub fifth. But like still tritone enough to not be confused with like a perfect fifth. It's not like a dual fifth thing, but it feels, I hear it more as like a 650 cent, like 16 over 11 thing, which makes them like not really as confusable. I think the tricky parts are sometimes with these two getting them mixed up, and then also uh, probably this 1040 thing. Have you ever gotten a 20 a 20 guess thing before on 15? I don't think you have. Tries. Yeah. So you haven't gotten a flawless run yet. I'm on the slow mode. Okay. There, I messed up so I can go to 280. Okay. Making some really dumb mistakes. Does my 46 Cedo record still stand, or is... Okay, Yo variable is not already taken it back. That's good to know. I wonder how long it will stand. I basically want to see how as low as like how low I can get my score without like having to do any of uh the sequence stuff because this stuff is too hard. Eh, okay. Wait, was that asking between 1 and 3? I have no clue. Yeah, I can't do the sequence stuff. What do I want to do? It would be funny to try to get first place on 48, because that's one of the ones that's one of the tuning systems I have beef with. Probably not going to get any more on 72. I could probably do like 17. Never mind. I like don't know where these intervals are placed. I'm not used to, because some of it is like muscle memory of like knowing where the intervals are placed, because part of the difficulty is moving your mouse to where it needs to go, which is why I think this could be potentially easier on a tablet. Or I'll just go slowly first. Oh my goodness, completely. I was like, okay, no, that's completely wrong. I want to see if I could get a flawless score if I'm going slow. Is that neutral or... Ah... In order to get perfect, I can't do any repeats because that takes away a point. I didn't know, I couldn't remember if that sounded more neutral or minor. Choked that one. But it should be easy to do this. Because I don't think there are any major intervals that I would like confuse with each other. There, I'm back to where I was. No! Yeah, it was one of the tritones that messed me up. Having two tritones is tricky. I think that's probably going to be the trickiest thing to differentiate in 17. I just want to get a no mistake run. So I'm going to go a little slow. I was like leaning. I felt like it might be this, but I doubted myself. I should have trusted my gut. That was another thing that I thought could be a potential tricky thing. I just gotta lock in. I say and immediately make a mistake. But like I'm getting far and then I'm messing up. Ah. I'm just like overthinking it a lot of the time. I'm like having my first instinct and I start doubting it. Okay, so the main issues tend to be with, I think, mistaking this like neutral seventh for the major one, and then also the neutral sixth for the minor one, and then sometimes messing up one of these. If I'm locked in, I can tell the difference. Yeah, I just need to be paying attention. If I reactivate all of them, does it go back to normal mode? No, it doesn't. Which one? No! I was gonna guess this one, but then I'm like, it really wants to resolve to the octave. I guess both of those can resolve to the octave, because that's the thing. It's like, I feel like with neutral sixth, like, minor, minor sixth really want to resolve down to the perfect fifth. Major sevenths really want to resolve up to the octave. And I feel like the neutral ones kind of both inherit those properties, and then when you get to the major and minor ones, it becomes too weak, or the opposite major and minor ones. So it can kind of be tricky, and that's where I think I'm making the mistakes. Ah! I should just try to see how high I can get and not try to go for perfect, because it is kind of frustrating resetting every single time. Okay, I will reset if I make a mistake early like that. No. Okay, that's three mistakes. Oh my goodness. There, 22 tries. I really didn't. I want to get 20 tries though. I guess it is under. It is under a minute, which I guess is good. But I do want to get 20 tries. I don't even care about the time or the score. Okay, no. I'm giving up on trying to get a perfect 17. Yes, I do make microtonal music. Right now I'm just doing some ear training. And seeing how I do. I did very well at the very beginning of the stream. I'm now on first place for the 46, ear trainer. Uh, what else? I also got like fourth place here. I wanna get something else good. I haven't done 22 really. But yeah, I make Microtonal music. I guess this is the thing that's open right now. This is kind of a weird example because this is in 37 EDO. I was planning on working for this because right now in the Zen Harmonic Alliance Discord server, which is the main like microtonal Discord server, there's this thing called Tuning of the Month Club. I'm based in San Jose, California. So I'm probably gonna move up to Washington for like college, which will probably be like soon, like next year. But yeah. So Zen Harmonic Alliance, which is the main like microtonal Discord server, they have every month they host this thing called Tuning of the Month Club, where everyone nominates one tuning system, and then everyone votes for what ones they want, and then whatever one wins, people will make stuff in that tuning for that month. So 37 to 1. And I had already had this work in progress for a while, so I'm gonna try to hopefully like finish it. I'll probably do that like on Saturday or Sunday. I'll work more on that. But like, what else could I show? Why is this there? That's a little more less weird. I don't really play live. I don't really have any microtonal instruments. I only have like a normal MIDI keyboard. But like, I've been considering, one of my friends has this keyboard that instead of like having the black and white keys like laid out for 12-tone equal temperament, it's like laid out in a way that works for like 15-tone equal temperament, and she never uses it because she prefers like larger tuning systems, like larger equal temperaments. So I was considering. I think she offered that to me, so I might go get that sometime. And then also, I think I want a 15-Edo guitar because there are some ways that you can like arrange the strings that make it kind of like even a bit more isomorphic or kind of like a consistent pattern than the 12-Edo one. Because with the normal like 12-tone equal temperament guitar, you have like most of the strings are in fourths, and then you have like from G to B that's actually a major third. So with 15 you can tune it all in fourths and have E to E still be an octave, which is interesting, and why I want to do that. I could show something in 15 because I guess both of the instruments that I do want to get are in 15, even though like 15 isn't like my #1 favorite tuning. It's just seems like instruments work pretty well for it. It is a pretty nice one though. Wait, do I not have it here? Wait, where is this located? Oh, I think I found it. This is the thing in 15 that I've done. I probably want to do another thing in 15. Yeah, I do kind of like drum and bass-ish stuff. Yeah, touring seems like it would be fun. It's just, I don't know. What is, I guess I have been wondering this, like what is touring and like playing live with stuff like more electronic, like you said, like drum and bass and IDM. What's that like? Like what are you doing? Are you like playing all of the like MIDI instruments? Are you like setting off the samples? Are you, I guess I don't really know what that looks like, and that's something I've been curious about. I think it would be fun to do that at some point. I guess it's just kind of currently not really. Uh, I mean, I guess I could. I don't have the following to do it, obviously. And I don't know how like gigs and stuff like that work. Maybe once I'm done with college, or like once I'm in college, I could like start to look into that stuff. Um, yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it is something that does seem interesting. So like, how does I guess if you don't have like a huge following, I assume that there are like gigs and like places that you can rent out and uh like do maybe in like a set of like several other musicians. I don't know. How does that like work? Am I correct on that? How you variable? How are you doing this evening? Kind of forgot how late it was. For some reason, I thought it was like 6 or something. I forgot that I had already like eaten dinner and everything, and that it's like basically 10 now. Sometimes you just like forget your sense of time. Yeah, I mainly want to head down the route of uh, like if I can, it would be like an interesting endeavor to like do like gigs or touring. But what I mainly want to do is like make music for like video games and stuff. See if I could be like a video game composer. Uh, but I mean, if that doesn't work out, I could try my hand at like other musical avenues of making money. Making music isn't exactly the best career path for making money, but I mean, I don't know if I could do anything else and stay sane. I mean, I guess I could probably if I had to like work a 9 to 5 and then do this on the side, but that's like very much preferably not. Right now I'm still like 17 and haven't really like gone out into the world yet. I'm probably just gonna wait until like I'm in college to start considering like that sort of stuff. So I'm going to college like specifically for like some video game music stuff. Or yeah, I'm gonna go to a college that's for that. Forgot that I started this. What even is in here? I think I started something in Bicycle, though it's barely started. Yeah, barely even sketched out like starting an idea, but something's forming. Presumably there's gonna be like more stuff here. All of the weirdness here is like this. It's like this LFO on this delay, which is like causing a bunch of like weird phase stuff to happen because it's on jump. I think some of the weirdness goes away if I change it to fade. Definitely interesting. What is this? It's titled "The Most Boring Fucking Thing Ever." What is this like? What is this project? Um. Oh, it was this in the JI scale. Yeah. I had to make something good, but it just sounded too boring. Hide the sampler. I don't know what I want to do right now. Has Groundfault made her posts explaining the track names? No, not yet. Um, I don't know. I want to do something else that doesn't require my brain right now. Oh, I do have it in the title, potentially reading. I was considering reading. Like, I tried to like read, do something weird, like reading a book on stream. And I tried to do that with Genesis on the Music by Harry Parch. And that book is so dense. There are so many big boy words in there, and it's hard to read. It's very densely written. Pages are like jam packed with words, and yeah, speaks in a very professional, fancy way. So I figured that this would be an easier read. I already kind of skimmed through this to see like some of the diagrams and some of the stuff like this. I imagine that this will be mostly a review because I already know a lot about just intonation. The Just Intonation Primer. An Introduction to the Theory and Practice of Just Intonation by David B. Doty. Alright. Introduction. What is just intonation? Although, like most composers working with this unfamiliar system, I'm frequently asked this troublesome question. I have yet to devise an answer that is suitable for casual conversation. Technically, just intonation is any system of tuning in which all of the intervals can be represented by a whole number of frequency ratios, with a strongly implied preference for the simplest ratios compatible with a given musical purpose. Unfortunately, this definition, while concise and accurate, is more likely to result in a glazed expression indicative of confusion than in a gleam of understanding. It is, in short, a definition that is perfectly clear to the comparative few who have a background to understand it, and who could therefore formulate it for themselves, and perfectly opaque to everyone else, including, unfortunately, most musicians. It is in my experience that most musicians are as ignorant of the details of 12-tone equal temperament, the predominant tuning system in Western cultures for the past 200 years, as they are just intonation. If you doubt this, ask the next dozen musicians you meet to explain why there are 12 semitones in a chromatic scale and how to accurately tune those 12 equal semitones. A detailed answer that incorporates all the necessary background on physics and sound, the physiology and psychology of human hearing, the history of music, the mathematics of tuning systems far exceeds the limits of casual conversation. It could, in fact, fill a book. A formal definition of just intonation may be difficult for the novice to grasp, but the aesthetic experience of just intervals is unmistakable. Although it is difficult to describe the special qualities of just intervals to those who have never heard them, words such as clarity, purity, smoothness, and stability come readily to mind. The supposed consonant intervals and chords of equal temperament, which deviate from the simple ratios to varying degrees, sound rough, restless, or muddy in comparison. The simple ratio intervals upon which just intonation is based are special relationships that the human auditory system is able to detect and distinguish from one another and from a host of more complex stimuli. They are what the human auditory system recognizes as consonants. If it has ever the opportunity, here, I'm going to be reading this. I don't need ear training thing. Boom. Why is this so... Display capture off? They're what the human auditory system recognizes as consonants, if it ever has the opportunity to hear them in a musical context. Although the importance of these whole number ratios is recognized by both musical tradition and modern acoustic and psychoacoustic research, for the last 200 years, Western music has been burdened with a tuning system in which all of the supposed consonances, with the exception of the octave, deviate significantly from their optimal interval ratio forms. Indeed, some consonant intervals are so compromised in 12-tone equal temperament that they are hardly represented at all. Just intonation provides a greater variety and superior quality of consonances and concords than equal temperament. But its resources are by no means limited to unrelieved consonants. Just intonation has the potential to provide more varied and powerful dissonances than the current system. This is the case in part because the simple consonant intervals can be compounded in a great many ways to yield more complex dissonant intervals, and in part because the consonant intervals being truly consonant, the dissonances are rendered that much sharper in contrast. Further, because dissonances in just intonation are products of concatenations of similar intervals, consonants and dissonance coexist in a rational framework, and their mutual relations are readily comprehensible. The virtues of just intonation and the shortcomings of equal temperament are not limited to effective properties of their respective intervals and chords. An equally serious problem with 12-tone equal temperament is that it supplies composers with an artificially simplified, one-dimensional model of musical relationships. By substituting 12 equally spaced fixed tones for a potentially unlimited number of tones, interconnected by a web of subtle and complex musical relationships, equal temperament not only impoverished the sonic palette of Western music, but also deprived composers and theorists of the means for thinking clearly about tonal relationships, causing them to confuse close relationships with remote ones and consonances with dissonances. Not only does just intonation provide a vast array of superior new musical resources, but when properly understood, provides the tools necessary for organizing and manipulating these greatly expanded resources. Just intonation is not a particular style, nor is it tied to any particular musical style. Just intonation is not a particular scale, nor is it tied to any particular musical style. It is rather a set of principles which can be applied to a limited number of musically significant intervals to generate an enormous variety of scales and chords, or to organize music without reference to any fixed scale. The principles of just intonation are applicable with any style of tonal or modal music, or even if you wish, to atonal styles. Just intonation is not primarily a tool for improving the consonance of existing musics, although it can, in some cases, be used. Although it can, in some cases, be used this way. Just intonation can give rise to new styles and forms of music, which, although truly innovative, are unlike those created by the proponents of various avant-garde-isms of the 20th century, comprehensible to the ear of the listener as well as to the intellects of the composer and analyst. Ultimately, just intonation is a method for understanding and navigating through boundless reaches of the pitch continuum, a method that transcends the musical practices of any particular culture. Just intonation has depth and breadth. Its fundamental principles are relatively simple, but its ramifications are vast. At present, the musical realm that comprises just intonation remains largely unexplored. A few pioneering composers and theorists have sketched some of its most striking features, but the map still contains many blank spaces where the adventurous composer may search for new musical treasures. Try making an audiobook of you reading the whole Zen wiki so blind people can learn Zen harmonic. True, yes. Let's do that right now. Let's just go to a random page on the Zen wiki. Random page. Okay, that literally has no words. Okay, these are still scales. Getting a ton of scales. 14L1S. 14L1S is a 2-1 equivalent, octave equivalent moment of symmetry scale containing 14 large steps and 1 small step, repeating every octave. 14L1S is related to 1L9S by expanding its 5-tone generator by expanding it by 5 tones. Generators that produce this scale range from 80 cents to 85.7 cents, or from 100 or from 1114.3 cents to 1120 cents. Scales of this form are always proper because there is only one small step. Amazing, amazing stuff. This scale is notable for corresponding to the 15-note temperaments like Nautilus and Sextilifex. 6 steps of the scale cover a diatonic fourth, but they also go from the lower bound to the upper bound of diatonic fourths over the course of the entire step ratio, corresponding from going from a 14 needle perfect fourth to a 15 needle perfect fourth. Amazing. This will truly be very helpful for me to read through every single page like this. Saxophone. See also infinitone. What is this page on saxophone? Saxophone, and then there's nothing, and then see also infinitone. And then it's just this one sentence page. Okay, we're going back to reading the Just Intonation Primer by David B. Godey. We're not going to do this. Okay. A little history. In light of its numerous virtues, why isn't just intonation currently in general use? Like so many of our particular customs, this is largely an accident of history. A detailed history of tuning in the West would require a book of considerable length in its own right, and thus is far beyond the scope of the current work. No one has, as yet, written a comprehensive study of this subject. Until such becomes available, the reader is advised to consult Harry Partch's Genesis of a Music. No way! No way! No way! Especially Chapter 15, a thumbnail sketch of the history of intonation. Maybe we should read that right now. No, we probably shouldn't. I'm gonna die if I read this. I don't know why. This feels like a lot easier to read. Probably because I like know all the words and what they mean. I was like having to pause every other page just to like Google a word that like I've never encountered before. When I was reading that book. Uh, Especially chapter 15, a thumbnail sketch of the history of intonation, and J. Murray Barber's tuning and temperament. The following short sketch is intended to only describe in general terms how musical intonation in the West achieved its current peculiar state. Antiquity. Just intonation is not a new phenomenon. The basic discovery that the most powerful musical intervals are associated with ratios of whole numbers is lost in antiquity. Perhaps it was first discovered by the priestly musicians of Egypt or Mesopotamia in the second or third millennium BCE. Some scholars, most notably Ernest G. McLean, regard this discovery of vital importance to the development of mathematics and religion in these ancient societies. Uh, the, uh, the semi-mythical Greek philosopher Pythagoras of Samos, 560 to 480 BCE, is generally credited with introducing whole number ratio tunings for the octave, perfect for the octave, perfect fourth, and perfect fifth into Greek music theory in the 6th century BCE. In the generations following Pythagoras, many Greek thinkers devoted a portion of their energies to musical studies and especially to scale construction and tuning. These musical philosophers, known collectively as the harmonists, uh, created a host of different tunings with various Greek scales, which they expressed in the form of whole number ratios. These discoveries of the Greek harmonists constitute one of the richest sources of tuning lore in the world and continue to this day to exercise a significant influence on Western musical thought. Although most of the lost original writings of the harmonists has been although most of the original writings of the harmonists has been lost, much of their work has been summarized by the 2nd century CE Alexandrian Claudius Ptolemy. I know that name. That name shows up a lot. I should learn how to pronounce it. Uh, how do you say that last name? Okay, it's just giving me the IPA, which I can't read. Uh, Pronunciation. Ptolemy?
Ptolemy.
Ptolemy. Okay, the P is silent. He's like a pterodactyl. I almost just said pterodactyl. Amazing. Okay, where was I? Uh, Although most of the original writings of the harmonists has been lost, much of their work has been summarized by the 2nd century CE Alexandrian Claudius Ptolemy in his harmonics. That's italicized. Presumably, it's a book or some paper. Ptolemy made significant contributions in his own right to the field of music theory, as well as to astronomy and geography. The Middle Ages and the Renaissance. Since the time of the Greek harmonists, the idea of simple ratios as the determinants of musical consonants has never been wholly absent from Western musical thought. Although much Greek music theory was lost to the West with the fall of the Roman Empire, some was retained and passed onto medieval Europe, primarily through the musical writings of the late Roman philosopher Anicius Manlius Severnius Boethius. No way, that's a real name. Uh, Quick, think of a Roman name. Anicius Manlius Severnius Boethius. Just all the ESs. Okay. Some was retained and passed on to medieval Europe, primarily through the musical writings of the late Roman philosopher Anicius Manlius, Severinus Boethius. Greek music theory was also preserved and further developed in the Islamic sphere, but this does not appear to have much influence on the musical developments in the West. Throughout the Middle Ages, Western music was theoretically based on what is called Pythagorean intonation, a subset of just intonation based on ratios composed only of multiples of 2 and 3, which will be described in detail in Chapter 3. Pythagorean tuning is characterized by consonant octaves, perfect fourths, and perfect fifths, based on the ratios of numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. All other intervals in Pythagorean tuning are dissonant. Do I agree with that? I think some of the Pythagorean major seconds can be a consonant. I don't know, it depends. Because, like, a lot of it is contextual. But, like, in certain chords, like, ratios like 9 over 8 are fairly consonant. And I feel like you could argue something like a stack of 2/4, which contains, like, 16 over 9 as one of the intervals, which is, like, a Pythagorean, like, minor seventh. That could potentially be seen as consonants. I don't know. But I generally agree that that's the most part true. That the perfect fourths and perfect fifths are like the most consonant things of Pythagorean. Okay, all other intervals in Pythagorean tuning are dissonant. This property is consistent with the musical practice of the Middle Ages, which polyphony was based off of fourths, fifths, and octaves, as well as was based off was based. Okay, this property is consistent with the musical practice of the Middle Ages, in which polyphony was based on fourths, fifths, and octaves, with all other intervals, including thirds and sixths, being treated as dissonances. Later, in the later Middle Ages and in the early Renaissance, thirds and sixths were increasingly admitted into polyphonic music as consonances, and music theory was gradually modified to account for the existence of the consonant intervals, although it appeared to have lagged considerably behind the musical practice. Although it appears to have lagged considerably behind musical practice. Eventually, theorists were forced to partially abandon Pythagorean framework of the Middle Ages in order to explain the existence of consonant thirds and sixths, because the most consonant possible thirds and sixths are based off of ratios involving 5. The association of consonant thirds and sixths with ratios involving 5 was first mentioned by the English monk Walter Oddington, but it took a long time for this idea to penetrate the mainstream of musical thought and displace the Pythagorean intonational doctrines. Indeed, it can be argued that it never wholly succeeded in doing so. Indeed, it can be argued that it never wholly succeeded in doing so. In the 16th century, the rediscovery of Greek writings on music, especially the writings of Ptolemy, gave considerable added ammunition to the advocates of consonant thirds and sixths based off of ratios involving 5. In general, music theorists of the Italian Renaissance came to agree with the proposition of Venetian Giuseppe Zarlino. I recognize that name. I recognize both the names Ptolemy and Zarlino as like names I've seen before relating to tuning. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna read this for. I'm having fun reading this. For some reason, Genesis of the Music was kind of just painful to read. Okay, where was I? Uh, in general, music theorists of the Italian Renaissance came to agree with the proposition of the Venetian Giuseppe Zarlino, 1517 to 1590, that the consonance was the product of ratios of the intervals 1 to 6, the so-called scenario. The ratios that define major and minor triads were discovered in scenario and were acclaimed as the most perfect concords, thereby setting the stage for the development of chordal harmonic music in the subsequent common practice period. The common practice period and the rise of temperament. Alas, while Renaissance theorists considered just intervals the foundation of melody and harmony, there was a fly in the proverbial ointment in the form of the growth of uh, independent instrumental music featuring fixed pitch fretted keyboards and instruments. The polyphonic music of the Middle Ages and Renaissance was predominantly vocal music and the human voice. Uh, when properly trained and coupled to a sensitive ear, it is readily capable of a subtle intonational adjustments required to perform sophisticated music in just intonation. The same can hardly be said for fretted strings or keyboard instruments. A player of a lute, guitar, or viol can can make some expressive adjustments of pitch. It is true, but certainly has not the same degree of flexibility as a singer. An organ or harpsichord can produce only those tones that its pipes or strings have been tuned to. For reasons that will not be explained here, but which will be made plain in subsequent chapters, a fixed pitch instrument intended to play in perfect just intonation in more than a few closely related keys requires far more than 12 tones per octave, an arrangement that has already become standard by the 15th century. In fact, some experimental keyboard instruments with far more than 12 keys per octave were built during the 16th and 17th centuries, but presumably because of their added cost and complexity, these instruments did not become popular, and the mainstream of musical thought actively adopted a different solution to the problem of intonation on fretted strings and keyboard instruments, that of temperament. The basic premise of temperament is that the number of required pitches to play in different keys can be reduced by compromising the tuning of certain tones so they can perform different functions in different keys. Whereas just intonation, a slightly different pitch would be required to perform each function. In other words, temperament compromises the quality of intervals and chords in the interest of simplifying the instrument design and construction and playing technique. Many different schemes of temperament were proposed in the Renaissance and Baroque eras, but at least where keyboard instruments were concerned, they eventually coalesced into a type of tuning known as mean tone temperament. According to many writers, equal temperament was always the preferred system for lutes and viols because it greatly simplified the placement and spacing of the frets. Mean tone temperament aims to achieve perfect major thirds and acceptable major and minor triads in a group of central keys at the expense of slightly flattened fifths in those same central keys, and some bad thirds and triads, and one very bad fifth in more remote keys. I will say, when it comes to oh my goodness, the stream has 100 views. The stream has been all over the place with it's mostly been ear training, but now I'm doing some reading because it's nice. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, on the subject of the so-called bad thirds in mean tone. Actually, most of the time the quote unquote wolf thirds are just septal thirds, like 7/6 and 9/7. At least like in quarter common mean tone, they get tuned very close to that. And the one bad fifth is very much a wolf fifth, but I think the thirds are like I don't see too much of a problem with them. You just have to be aware that they are not the same as your normal pencil thirds. Though I think at the time they probably would have been viewed as not something to be desired, because I don't think the seventh harmonic really entered much of Western music theory ever. I don't know, which is a real shame because I think you can get a lot out of that. But yeah, okay. Back to the reading. According to wait no. Mean tone temperament aims to achieve perfect major thirds and acceptable major and minor triads in a group of central keys at the expense of a slightly flattened fifth in those same central keys, and some bad thirds and triads, and one very bad fifth in some more remote keys. The exemplary variety of mean tone temperament, called quarter common mean tone, produced in a 12-tone realization 8 good major triads and 8 good minor triads, with the remaining 4 triads of each type being badly mistuned. Mean tone tuning satisfied the needs of composers for a time, but as instrumental music became more complex and the desire to modulate to more remote keys increased, the bad triads became a barrier to progress. As a result, musicians gradually adopted another system, 12-tone equal temperament. Boo! Boo! You suck! Boo! Hi Tristan Bay, I'm doing good. I'm just reading The Just Destination Primer by David B. Doty. And right now he's talking about just a very brief history of, like, tuning. And right now we just got to the part where he's talking about 12-tone equal temperament. There is some uncertainty as to who deserves the credit or blame for the invention of equal temperament. It seems to have been the product of many minds working along convergent lines for a number of decades, if not centuries. The French monk and mathematician Martin Mersenne gave an accurate description of equal temperament and instructions for tuning it on a variety of instruments in his most important work, the Harmonie Universelle. Thereby contributing substantially to its popularization, but the practical adoption of equal temperament, like its invention, was a gradual process, occurring at different rates in different countries. Equal temperament seems to have first found favor for keyboard instruments in Germany, where some organs were tuned as early as the last quarter of the 17th century, although it was still a subject of debate. There 75 years later. Mean tone seems to still have been the predominant system in France in the mid-18th century, and in England, mean tone continued to be the predominant tuning, at least for organs, until the middle of the 19th century. The commonly held assumption that J.S. Bach was an advocate of equal temperament, and that he wrote 24 preludes. That he wrote the 24 preludes and fugues of the well-tempered clavier to demonstrate its virtues is at least debatable. The term well-temperament was used in the 18th century to describe a species of temperament in which all keys were usable, and in which the principal consonances of the most central keys often retained their just forms. In well-temperaments, different keys had different characters, depending on their closeness or remoteness to the key of which the tuning was centered. This latter characteristic was considered desirable to many Baroque composers and theorists, who believed that different keys had characteristic colors and emotional effects. 12-tone equal temperament. 12-tone equal temperament, unlike mean tone, mistunes all of the consonant intervals except the octave. Also unlike mean tone, 12-tone equal temperament favors perfect fifths over thirds. The equally tempered perfect fifth is approximately 2 cents narrower than the just perfect fifth. 1 cent is 1/100th. 1 cent equals 1/100th of a tempered semitone, or 1/1200th of an octave. Whereas the equally tempered major third is approximately 14 cents than the just major third, and the equally tempered minor third is approximately 16 cents narrower than the just minor third. In a sense, the rise of equal temperament can be seen as a partial resurgence of the old Pythagorean doctrine, since the Pythagorean tuning also produced good perfect fifths and fourths, wide major thirds, and narrow minor thirds. The major advantage of equal temperament over mean tone is that every key in equal temperament is equally good or equally bad. There is no contrast in consonants between keys, so all 12 notes can serve equally well as key notes for major and minor scales, or as the roots of major and minor triads. Equal temperament was not adopted because it sounded better. It didn't then, and it still doesn't, despite 200 years of cultural conditioning. Okay. Based. Or because, okay, equal temperament was not adopted because it sounded better, or because composers and theorists were unaware of the possibility of just intonation. The adoption of 12-tone equal temperament was a strictly a matter of expediency. The adoption of 12-tone equal temperament was strictly a matter of expediency. Equal temperament allowed composers to explore increasingly complex chromatic harmonies and remote modulations without increasing the complexity of the instrument design or the difficulty of playing techniques. These benefits, as we shall see, were not without costs. Throughout the Baroque and Classical era, while music, at least on keyboard instruments, was dominated first by mean tone temperament, then by equal temperament, theorists continued to explain musical consonants as the product of simple whole number ratios. Considerable advances were made in the scientific understanding of sound production by musical instruments and of the human auditory mechanism during this period. Ironically, Mersenne, who played such a significant role in the popularization of 12-tone equal temperament, also first detected and described the presence of the harmonic series in the composite tone of a vibrating string and the natural tones of a trumpet. Mersenne was also the first theorist to attribute consonants to ratios involving 7. Based! Based. If only they had developed equal temperament earlier. If only they had developed equal temperament earlier when quarter common mean tone was at its peak, then we may be using 31 Ito. Yeah, that's often something to think about. It's just like the fact that we could have potentially gotten 31 tone equal temperament if, because I think it was discovered like historically back then. It just never caught on. It was like discovered as like the equal temperament that basically approximated like quarter common mean tone. And if like people realize the consonants of like seventh harmonic and stuff like that, and ratios involving 7, then I really think it could have caught on. But it's just kind of like the perfect storm to where it never really gained any traction, and the things that you would need to value in order to like choose it were not really were kind of neglected, I think, uh, which is a real shame. I do think if there were going to be a system to replace 12, 31 is definitely one of the candidates. It is tricky because it is quite big, but I think there were some historical instruments that were actually made in 31 tone equal temperament. I don't know who Xavier So Based is. Uh, but so I can't answer that question. All right. Where was I? Okay, to angle this maybe a little bit more down. Okay, it's already there. There we go. Maybe I should shift this over. Okay, no, I feel like this is worse. I shouldn't have messed with it. It's looped under this, so I have to pull it through here. Amazing. Professional streamer. Oh no. Okay. It was my mic was muted. Gosh dang it. How far do I have to back up? That's embarrassing. Okay. I guess I'll just back up to Mersenne was also the first theorist to attribute consonants to ratios involving 7, the next step up in the harmonic series from Zarlino's scenario. Later theorists, most notably Jean Philippe Rameau, appropriated the harmonic series as further support from nature for the primacy of whole number ratios as the source of consonants. It apparently did not strike most of the theorists of the 17th and 18th centuries as problematic that although they formed the theoretical basis for the whole of contemporary harmonic practice, simple ratio intervals were gradually being purged from musical practice in favor of tempered approximations. In the 19th century, a vigorous attack on equal temperament was mounted by Hermann von Helmholtz. Uh, surgeon, physicist, physiologist, and father of modern scientific acoustics and psychoacoustics. Helmholtz considerably advanced understanding of the production and perception of musical sounds, and proposed the first truly scientific theory of consonance and dissonance. He was a strong advocate of just intonation, and deplored the effect that equal temperament had on musical practice, particularly with regard to singing. Contemporary with Helmholtz's studies, there were a good deal of interest in the invention of experimental keyboards for just intonation, primarily organs or harmoniums, particularly in Great Britain. Among those engaged in this activity, the most notable were General Perronet Thompson, Colin Brown, and R.H.M. Bosanquet. Unfortunately, the proposals of Helmholtz and the other intonational reformers of the 19th century appear to have no detectable effect on contemporary musical practice, although Helmholtz's work in particular was to have significant influence on musicians for subsequent generations. 19th century composers were still enamored of the 19th century composers were still enamored of the facility for modulation and for the building of increasingly complex harmonies that equal temperament provided. And it was not until these resources were exhausted that any alternative was seriously considered. The end of common practice. Initially, the effect of equal temperament on Western music was probably beneficial. Composers obtained the ability to modulate freely and to build complex chromatic harmonies that had been impossible under the mean tone system. As a result, abstract instrumental music flourished as never before, yielding what is generally considered the golden age of Western music. Like a plant stimulated by chemical fertilizers and growth hormones, music based on equal temperament grew rapidly and luxuriously for a short period, then collapsed. I'm laughing because I really like the vitriol here, the dunking on 12 It's just very very direct, and I respect that. If equal temperament played a prominent role in stimulating the growth of harmonic music in the common practice area, it played an equally large part in the rapid demise as a vital compositional style. 12-tone equal temperament remained. 12-tone equal temperament is a limited and closed system. Once you have modulated around the so-called circle of fifths through its 12 major and 12 minor keys, once you have stacked up every combination of tones that can be reasonably considered a chord, there is nowhere left to go in the search of new resources. This is essentially where Western composers found themselves at the beginning of the 20th century. Everything that could be done with the equally tempered scale and principles of tonal harmony had been tried, and the system was breaking down. This situation led many composers to the erroneous conclusion that consonance, tonality, and even pitch had been exhausted as organizing principles. What was really exhausted was merely the very limited resources of the tempered scale. By substituting 12 equally spaced tones for a vast universe of subtle intervallic relationships, the composers and theorists of the 18th and 19th centuries effectively painted Western music into a corner from which it has not as yet extricated itself. 20th century composers have tried in vain to invent or discover new organizing principles as powerful as common practice tonal system. Instead, they have created a wide variety of essentially arbitrary systems which, although they may seem reasonable in the minds of their creators, fail to take into account the capabilities and limitations of the human auditory system. These systems have resulted in music that the great majority of the population find incomprehensible and unlistenable. Given that equal temperament had only been in general use for about 150 years at the time, it may seem strange that so few of the composers of the early 20th century recognized that the cure for music ills lay, at least in part, in replacement of its inadequate tuning system. Some theorists and composers did, in fact, advocate for the adoption of new microtonal tuning systems, but most of these proponals were for microtonal equal temperaments, such as quarter tones, third tones, sixth tones, eighth tones, or the like, which merely divided the existing 12-tone scale into smaller arbitrary intervals, which made no improvement in the tuning of Western music's most fundamental intervals. However, despite the fairly recent origin, equal temperament has already become quite deeply entrenched in Western musical thought and practice. There were several reasons for this. One was the Industrial Revolution. The 19th century saw the redesign and standardization of many instruments, particularly the orchestral woodwinds and brass. Strictly speaking, only fixed instruments, the piano, organ, harp, tuned percussion, and fretted strings, require a temperament, the others being sufficiently flexible as to adjust pitch as musical context requires. Nevertheless, brass and wind instruments were also standardized to play a chromatic scale such that the centers of their pitches corresponded as closely possible to the pitches of 12-tone equal temperament. Another reason for the persistence of equal temperament was the repertory of the common practice period. The previous 150 years had witnessed the development of the orchestra as we know it, along with its repertory and the concert system that supported it. It had also seen the evolution of the piano, the preeminent equally tempered instrument, as the predominant instrument of both solo performance and accompaniment, and the most important tool in musical education. The orchestra, the piano, and their players, trained to perform the works of the 18th and 19th century composers, were the resources. The orchestra, the piano, and their players, trained to perform the works of the 18th and 19th century composers, were the resources that the turn of the 20th century composers had to use if they wished to have their music be performed. Wait, what? Hang on. That sentence is written confusingly. The orchestra, the piano, and their players, trained to perform the works of 18th and 19th century composers, were the resources that the turn of the 20th century composers had to use. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, no, okay. I finally get the sentence. The orchestra, the piano, and their players, trained to perform the works of the 18th and 19th century composers, were the resources that the turn of the 20th century composers had to use if they wished to have their music performed. And all of the resources were dedicated to music that assumed equal temperament. It was little wonder then that the few composers willing to challenge this massive establishment in order to work in some new. It was little wonder then that few composers were willing to challenge this massive establishment in order to work in some new untested tuning system. The 20th century just intonation revival. Although most composers were sufficiently intimidated by the weight of 18th and 19th century musical practice, fortunately a few were not. The first 20th century composer to make a serious commitment to just intonation, and the person primarily responsible for the revival of just intonation as a viable musical resource, was Harry Partch. The iconoclastic American composer, theorist, instrument builder, dramatist, and musical polemicist. When Partch began his compositional career, no one, to the best of my knowledge, was making music in just intonation. Beginning with tentative experiments in the mid-1920s and continuing over the span of 50 years, Partch developed a system of just intonation with 43 tones to the octave, and built a large ensemble of predominantly stringed and percussion instruments to play in this tuning system. Composed and staged 6 major musical theater pieces, along with numerous lesser works, which produced and distributed his own records. In 1949, Partch published the first edition of his Genesis of a Music, an account of musical theories, instruments, and compositions that became the Bible for subsequent generations of just intonation composers. Whereas in previous centuries, the goal of most intonational theorists was to find the ideal or most practical tuning for a culturally predominant scale, such as a major, minor, or chromatic scale. The approach of 20th century composers and theorists working with just intonation was exemplified by Partch. Has been as exemplified by Partch has been quite different. The goal of these artists has been, in most cases, to discover or create tunings that best serve their own particular musical goals, whether for a single composition or for a lifetime's work, rather than one that would serve the needs of the culture as a whole. The industrial revolution. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences has been a disaster for just intonation. True. True. Okay. What was I gonna say? Right. Where was I? I lost my place. Oh, right. From when he began the work in the mid 1920s until the mid 1950s, Partch was the only composer in the United States doing significant work in just intonation. In the 1950s, Partch was joined by Lou Harrison and Ben Johnston. Harrison first learned about just intonation from Partch's Genesis of a Music. He composed his first major work in just intonation, four strict songs for 8 baritones and orchestra, in 1954. Although, unlike Partch, he does not work exclusively in just intonation. Harrison has written a large body of work in various just tunings. He is probably best known for the creation, in conjunction with his companion William Colvig, a number of justly tuned American gamelan Indonesian-style tuned percussion ensembles, and for the body of music he has composed for this medium. But he has also composed just music for a great variety of instrumental and vocal ensembles, often mixing elements from European and Asian musical traditions. Through his teaching at San Jose State University, San Jose, let's go! And Mills College in California, and his extensive lecturing, he has introduced many younger composers to just intonation. But Ben Johnston discovered the possibility of just intonation early in life, when he attended a lecture on Helmholtz at age 11. Later, he, like Harrison, discovered Partch's Genesis of a Music. Johnston contacted Partch, and for a 6-month period in 1950, was his student and apprentice in the remote California coastal town of Gualala. Johnston began composing seriously in just intonation in 1959. Unlike Partch and Harrison, Johnston's work in just intonation employs mainly Western musical forms and instrumentation combinations. His earlier work, through the early 1970s, generally combines extended microtonal just intonation with serial techniques. His later work tends to be simpler and more tonal, but he still uses serialism at least occasionally. Johnston's work includes 8-string quartets in just intonation and numerous vocal and chamber ensemble pieces. He is the inventor of a system of notation for extended just intonation that is used in this primer. In the 1960s and 1970s, interest in just intonation continued to slowly increase. Lamonte Young began working with just intonation in the early 1960s. In the context of his instrumental and vocal performance group, the Theater of Eternal Music. In this ensemble, Young developed the practice of performing long, static compositions based on selected tones from the harmonic series, played on various combinations of amplified instruments and voices. In 1964, Young began work on his semi-improvisational, justly tuned piano composition, the well-tuned piano, which can be from 5 to 7 hours in duration, and which continues to evolve at the time of this writing. Young is also known for the Dream House, a living environment in which a number of electronically generated, harmonically related tones are sustained over a period of months or years. Terry Riley, who was a member of Young's Theater of Eternal Music at various times in the early 1960s, is primarily known as a keyboard composer/improviser. He is perhaps best known as the composer of the early minimalist piece In C, which is not explicitly a just intonation piece, although it has sometimes been performed this way. In the 1970s, Riley performed extensively on a modified electric organ, tuned in just intonation and accompanied by tape delays. More recently, he has been performing his work on justly tuned piano and digital synthesizers, and composing for other ensembles, especially the string quartet. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, a number of composers began working with just intonation. The number of composers working with just intonation began to increase significantly, due in part to the development of affordable electronic instruments with programmable tuning capabilities, and in part the coming age of the post-World War II generation of composers. The achievements of Parch, Harrison, Johnston, Young, and Riley made it evident to these younger composers that just intonation was a valuable resource for composers of diverse styles and tastes, and the availability of electronic instruments with programmable tuning made it possible for the first time for composers to experiment with a variety of different tuning systems without having to invent and build novel instruments or train performers in unusual playing techniques. Changing the pitches available on digital synthesizers simply means changing data values in the tuning table or switching to a different table. If the instrument and its operating software have been designed to facilitate such changes, either of these functions can be performed virtually instantaneously by a computer running appropriate software. Hence, a conventional keyboard can be used to play a virtually unlimited number of different pitches. This capability has, for all intents and purposes, eliminated the condition that first brought temperament into being, the necessity of restricting the number of pitches used in music to the number of keys available on an affordable, playable keyboard. Among the many composers currently doing significant work in just intonation are William C. Alves, Lydia Ayres, John Coulter, David Canright, Dean Drummond, Chris Forster, Glenn France, Ellen Fullman, Fred Grady, Michael Harrison, Ralph David Hill, David Hikes, Douglas Leedy, Norbert Oldani, Larry Polanski, Robert Rich, Daniel Schmidt, Carl Schultz, James Tenney, Erling Wold, and Abnormality. Trust me, bro. It says that in there. The variety of musical styles represented by this group is extremely diverse, and the use of just intonation may be the only feature they all share. Although more than half work primarily or exclusively with electronic media, they also include exponents of Parch's traditional acoustic instrument building, Drummond and Grady, Lou Harrison's American gamelan music, Schmidt, Young's and Riley's improvisational keyboard styles, M. Harrison, a harmonic singer, hikes, and even a justly tuned rock guitarist, Cattler. The purpose of this publication. Although the technical barriers to the compositional and to the composition and performance of significant music and just intonation have been considerably reduced in recent years, barriers of another type remain largely in place, namely the weight of custom, the lack of accessible information on the principles of just intonation. The colleges, universities, and conservatories continue to teach a curriculum based on music of the common practice area, in which alternate tunings are unlikely to receive more than a passing mention, with the exception of a fortunate few who find themselves in institutions with a microtonal composer or theorist onto the faculty. Students who develop an interest in these matters are unlikely to receive much support or encouragement, much less practical instruction from the academic establishment. Such students, if they persist, generally find it necessary to educate themselves, and in the process often have to reinvent or rediscover principles and instructions that are well known to more experienced composers. In an attempt to remedy this situation, in the fall of 1984, I and my associates in the experimental music ensemble Other Music, in consultation with a number of other West Coast Just Intonation composers and theorists, founded the Just Intonation Network. The Just Intonation Network is a nonprofit group fostering communication among composers, musicians, instrument designers, and theorists working with Just Intonation. Its primary goal is to make information about the theory and practice of composition with just intonation available for all who want or need it. The primary method for distributing this information is the network's journal, 1/1, the only current periodical devoted primarily or exclusively to just intonation. For the past 18 years, I have served as editor of this publication. A survey of Just Intonation Network members taken several years ago revealed more than half were newcomers to the study of just intonation, who found a significant portion of the articles in 1/1 over their heads. It was with the goal of assisting these readers that the Just Intonation Primer was conceived. The Just Intonation Primer, as the title indicates, is not intended to provide a complete or comprehensive course in the theory and practice of just intonation, let alone tuning in general or other aspects of composition. Its purpose is rather to provide the reader with the basic information and skills necessary to read and comprehend intermediate and advanced text, such as articles in 1/1 or Harry Partch's Genesis of Music, and to prepare the reader to begin their independent study and composition. The primer intends for readers with at least an elementary knowledge in common practice Western music theory, including basic terminology of intervals, chords, and scales, and the fundamentals of harmony. The reader is not assumed to have any prior knowledge of just intonation or alternative tuning in general, nor is the reader expected to be a mathematician or number theorist. The only math required to understand this book is basic arithmetic in combination with some simple procedures explained in Chapter 3. An inexpensive scientific calculator will prove useful for comparing the sizes of intervals. Wonderful. I think that's Chapter 1. Yep, that's the entirety of Chapter 1. Boom. Okay, I think we're going to call it there. At least for the reading part. It is 11:09 p.m. Oh, it's some good reading. Alright, maybe we do a bit more ear training? I don't know. Tristan Bay, are you still there? Who are my two concurrent viewers? I'm gonna guess it's Fitzgerald and Tristan. That's just my guess. Who knows? It might be two other people. Ah, she took it back barely. At the start of the stream, I got first place in 46 Edo. Yo variable just barely got it back. Same exact number of seconds, same exact number of tries. It's just the milliseconds were slightly better. That's crazy. Yeah, the thing is, I don't know if I can rebeat this score, which is going to probably mean that Yo variables will stay for another while. Because I can't beat my 31 Edo score, even though the best score is much higher. I think it's just you kind of become locked out whenever a run is done with the kind of interval sequence. And I kind of don't like that. The fact that there's like no option to kind of do it once that happens. I was trying to get best on 15 Nito earlier. I think I could do it. I have the right pace to do it, I think. Wait, do I? Wait, you actually need... Let me think about this. No, you need an insane pace to do this, right? Yeah, you need basically one per sec, like one every 1.5 seconds. I was getting like a very fast pace, but I don't know if it's comparable to this. I might need to do that on touchscreen. Because I was thinking about doing that. No, let me show you a great screenshot. Uh, look right here. Beautiful. 17. Name 17. Score 17. Tries 17. I got 17th place with in 17 tries, and since I got exactly 1 minute, my score was also 17, so I put my name as 17. Of course, now 17 is in 20th place, but yeah. I'm happy being like at the very tippy top of the leaderboards. Like even if it is like just within top four. I think top four is like a good goal to get. Like I have it in 31. I have it in 72. Uh, if we count just by people, I technically have it in. Wait, no, I don't. Because there are four people. There's Fitzgerald, Yo variable. Okay, yeah. I don't have it there. And Gordon Wary says that he did send a message to the developer to try to fix 37, but he says he hasn't responded. This is 37 Edo suppression. Been going for nearly 3 hours now. For some reason, this one got like. How did you not know about that? That's like the one thing I keep consistently complaining about. It's like the only tuning that is broken like this. Like it's horrible. Yeah, I got fourth place in 16 Ito as well. It's weird. I got so close to getting like a perfect 20 so many times. I have like, oh, this is the one where I do think like I am like on pace to get like second or third place if I can just like get accuracy. Because like I have a very good speed on this. But like the accuracy, I was also doing very good with the accuracy. It's just like I would consistently like choke at the end, which is why I have like some 22s, even a 23, a fast 23, another 22 there. Oh, I forgot that I got sixth place in Bull and Pierce. Yeah, I'm proud of this 72 Ito one. That one I got just last stream. Here, Tristan Bay, I can send you the clip for me getting the 72. Here, wait, no, I can just watch it here. All right, I had my camera on the other side because I had to do another angle. So this one worked out better. Yeah, but nearly flawless. Amazing reaction. I don't know what else to do. I think I might end stream. It's 11:18. Maybe I'll do like one more on 31. Not great, but also not the worst. I want to see if I can make lightning strike twice. No, it's not going to. Where is that? There, 11 tries. Not horrible. Still pretty good run. Here we see the iconic wall of abnormality, which is like whenever I consistently like get a bunch of the like similar times in a row or like similar scores in a row, and then you have just like a random high score that's like somehow jumped out of the big wall. Um, 'Ah, where is it? I don't know why I just like lost that. Okay, 15 tries. That's not very good. Oh my goodness, I'm not very good at identifying between like sharper, flatter fifths. Uh, 'Please. Always get it wrong. 13 tries. Could be a lot better. Oh my goodness, what was that? A lot of times I have to find the interval, which takes up some time. That's like super major. What? I have no explanation for that. Um, this is like a mix of like really inaccurate and really accurate guesses. This is like not a good run. 16 tries. Twelve tries. It's alright. Oh, thought I heard some unison there. Or some, Okay. I think this was pretty good. I think I did make some slight, like, if I would have not gone neutral for that, like, more, like, minory third, I think I could have gotten a really good run there. Okay. I don't want to talk about that. Okay, I think I'll take that. I think I'll take that. I think now here's a good point to like end off. Yeah. All right. I'll probably I don't know. I've been like kind of doing some daily streams, which is kind of cool. So maybe I'll do another one tomorrow. It is pretty late, so yeah. All right. I know I will stream sometime over the weekend because I want to work on some music then. Oh, has Gordon started streaming? Yeah, that would make sense. What? His stream already ended.
I can never remember this line. I don't know.
Why does it just end unexpectedly? Like, why? Like, what happened there? Did he get hit by a meteor? All right.